over 70% of Americans call themselves procrastinators. Today, in talking about amplifying these momentums and these 5 keys, we're going to be clearing out some of the labels that we have about ourselves, whether they're good, like ambitious, or they are bad, like procrastination, right? And hopefully by the end of the call, you'll re-enter a world with more momentum, more willingness to really go for it, less noise, of course, because we always do less noise, and also really that, kind of wheel that's been, if you've ever gone into complacency or, I just don't wanna, but hopefully that wheel will start turning and rolling more downhill instead of like pushing a boulder uphill. So these are, when I asked consciousness, universe, and everything, like what would be these pillars that would begin momentum? Here's what came up. 1, and I'm going to go through them all, and then I'll go ahead and clear the whispers within all of them. But the first one is that we often don't have the willingness to clear out these labels, to clear out the pressure of other people upon us and the collective noise. Like we get that it's there, but we're not really waking up saying, no, that's not okay. I'm demanding that this is not okay, and do the steps that and the tools we know to clear out this pressure, this noise, this, collective energy that's keeping us in this current reality instead of future. Okay. Number 2, it's the willingness to make like your life an adventure, create, I don't know if challenge is the exact right word, but that's the word that I like to use, right? Like, I wonder if I can do this. Okay. So that's number 2. Like, how can you make your life more of an adventure, even if it's like one simple thing? Okay. Number 3, that is the willingness to really ask for it. Like say, universe, hey, I am having this. Just tell me what it takes to remove the blocks and have it. Then number 4 is the willingness to like just keep going without the judgment of what other people think about you, without, I can't show up on video because, my hair isn't flipping right, right? People are going to judge this message. People are going to judge me. I can't show up, I can't do this because they're going to think I'm weird and they're going to leave me, or whatever that judgment stuff is. Okay. And then number 5 is that demand to know this is changing, right? Having your magical life, having your world, and having it now, even though you're still hitting certain obstacles around time, money, relationships, whatever it may be, but making that demand to have that magical world. These are the 5 keys to like get that ball moving when you're in like utter complacency. And it could even feel a little bit like depression or depressiveness, right? Where you've been suppressing so much of this energy that you're getting like bogged down with crap. So take a breath, because this is going to be an interesting little ride. I'm just going to really follow the whispers to clear this out, and hopefully you'll leave this call just feeling, oh my gosh, that's so much has been cleared. So let's start with number 1. What is that pressure, that noise, the collective energies that are keeping you from seeing a world with a very, very different future? What is that? Who does that belong to? And everywhere where it's just not yours, but you're still pretending that it is, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate it in entirety? And take a breath. Where have you been unwilling to make a demand that you own this? You got this. And everywhere where you're unwilling and unsure and still have self-doubt instead of going into total knowing around this, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate everything that is in 1, 2, and 3? Whew, and take a breath. And all the other noise right now that's in your life, or you've got to do right after this call, or it's pending on your pending to-do list, all of that for this call, for right now, would you be willing to let it out of your brain? Hopefully you have it on paper somewhere, and just be here and take a breath. Would you be willing to perceive the future whispers beyond this reality? Anything that doesn't allow that future whispering to begin, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. Whew. All right. And any question that you are getting that needs to be asked of you here, would you now ask that? And take a breath. Cool. Now take another one and make it totally go direct. Go direct to consciousness in the universe. I often share a lesson where people are like, well, let me ask my higher self. I'm like, well, what if you didn't have to go to your higher self and ask it, right? What if you would just, take out the middleman there and actually integrate your higher self with you, right? So there's no separations, there's not going, there's not communicating. There simply is, I am my higher self. Would you be willing to have that now? And take a breath. Cool. All right. So step 2, right? Next step, next pillar. What now, by perceiving these future whispers, could you wonder about so that maybe you could make a challenge for yourself, right? Like, what is kind of that itty bitty, teeny tiny inkling that you're like, I wonder if, what is that there? And would you be willing to maybe make an itty bitty, teeny tiny challenge around that whispering inkling? And it could be so much bigger than that. What would be your next challenge? Maybe you wait next week and make it in your 90 days, right? Maybe you start now, but what is it? What is it for you? Okay. Right. What is it? What are you now ready for? Maybe you weren't ready for it in January, but you're now ready. What is that? And could you make a little challenge for you? Wouldn't have to be long. Maybe it's 3 weeks, maybe it's 6 weeks. What would that challenge be? And if you get something consistent and clear, I'd love if you'd put it in the feed. Okay. Cool. Next question. Number 3, technically. What have you been unwilling to ask for that you now can ask for? What have you been unwilling to ask for that you can now ask for? And you know that you're aligned. It's not just a fantasy or a daydream, right? But it is actually a a desire and you see yourself having it, right? That true alignment. What is it now that you might have been unable or unwilling to ask for that you can now ask for? Cool. And take a breath. Number 4. What have you been unwilling to take action on? And just let it sink in just a bit. Like maybe you are willing, but what are you unwilling to ask for? What are you unwilling to ask for? Unwilling. What are you unwilling to execute on? Cool. Got that? Okay. Now, is the reason that you're unwilling to actually put it into action, to execute on it, is that because of how you might be perceived, how you might be judged, how you might judge yourself? And everywhere where somebody else's point of view is involved with you creating, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. I'm going to say that a few different ways because I want you to get this in your bones. Wherever someone else's point of view, someone else's opinion, someone else's comment, response, judgment has anything to do with what you're choosing to create, would you now destroy and uncreate that? And take a breath. And what now are the indicators and the feedbacks that would tell you, you know what, I'm doing the right thing here, right? It could be love, money, freedom, exuberant expression. What would your indicators be without people's points of view, without people's opinions? Napoleon Hill had a comment, I'm going to botch it big time, but he said that an opinion of another is like a fart or a piece. He didn't say a fart, but it was like that. It just is going to stink up your creative reality. So everywhere you're using other people's point of view to help you create, would you destroy and uncreate that? And take a breath. Cool. All right, number 5. How old were you when you first felt stopped by somebody when you were going off to create something? How old were you? How old was that first, like, no, you're doing it wrong? How old were you? And everything that happened at that age, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that? And in your timeline, in your linear path, everywhere where somebody else stopped you, maybe because they couldn't do it, and so they just wanted to save you from it, right? But you knew you could because you are that fierce magic dragon, right? Everywhere somebody else got in your way, somebody else stopped you, and it kept you from making a demand on you, would you now destroy and uncreate everything that is? And take your magic wand out, right? Magic wand's up. Would you now utilize that magic wand and tap, tap, tap on your head and reawaken that knowingness, that demand that you can do this? You can create that magic. You can create that flow. You can create that freedom that you are asking for. You can create it, and it doesn't have to take as long as you think. It simply is a choice. Would you now be willing to choose that? Yeah? Yes? Maybe? Just a little bit? All right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And take a breath. Cool. Now we're just going to ask consciousness to integrate all that in us. So would you go ahead and start a kind of a frequency flow of awesomeness, rubbing your wrists together, noticing the sensations between your wrists and your hands, going direct as an infinite being, right? What are you now willing to live your life without the noise, the pressure? Create those consistent challenges. The willingness to hold yourself accountable in the progress so that you can keep the momentum. Keep asking, right? Keep sparking the actions, right? And keep knowing that you are here to have that magical world. Take another breath and speed up that energy just a bit. Let that energy just move through you and take out all the parts, pieces, and constructs that is stopping you from having this. And take a breath. Whew. And take one more just to bring it all together. And now I would love for you to comment and let me know, how might this change you? What now are you willing to go for? How can you now get that cog in that wheel moving and rest and be taken?